job.
Nice
one.
Just a little closer to the.
We don't want all the chairs.
Maria, you guys know.
Exactly.
You guys know.
Yes, how are you all?
I'm in.
How are you? Who are you with?
Fox News.
Fox, great. And who else?
Washington Post, Epoch Times, Español.
Univision is Univision?
Telemundo.
Telemundo.
That's a bad word.
That's right. All right.
Both.
All right, let's let her breathe, you know, and then we'll,
Yeah, no,
we'll start.
I think she needs to breathe a little more.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
I can come up. Let's do another hit. All right, let's go.
Okay.
No tiene por ahí, I need a Kleenex. You have
Yeah.
Here, that's
There you go.
You're very kind. This is not the weather that I am used to. All right? Thanks.
Great day today. Yes.
Great day today, of
All right,
course.
Let me check you out, make sure there's no.
Yeah. You makeup's okay, the contrast
You
goes.
always look good.
I love it, thank
You
you.
always look good.
Yes.
All right, who starts?
Is my makeup?
Let's do it in English first and then in Spanish, and if you guys can scoot in just a little closer.
All right, you guys let us know.
That's perfect.
There?
That's
You
perfect.
guys all right?
Okay, Dean, go.
That's right.
You're the Dean.
That's right.
We have said consistently that President Trump has been the best friend of the cause of freedom of the Western Hemisphere. And once again, he has demonstrated why we have consistently said that. His stance towards communist Cuba has been firm, has been positive, has been protecting the national security interests of the United States and the cause of freedom of Cuba. And what we saw today, announced by President Trump, is his consistent policy to reverse the damaging policies of the Biden administration that did nothing else but to help the enemies of the United States to try to solidify these anti-American dictatorships in this hemisphere. And that's why we are so extremely grateful to President Trump for his steadfast leadership, for being clear, for understanding that those dictatorships are a threat to their people, but also to the national security interests of the United States. And once again, President Trump promised that he was going to do that, and once again, he is delivering on that promise. So we are exceedingly grateful to the President for this last announcement. It's not the first, it's the most recent announcement of supporting the national security interests of the United States and solidarity with the cause of freedom for the people of Cuba and Venezuela, which was this last announcement.
So we are very, very grateful to the president because he gets it. He gets the fact that if he takes away $400 million a month that Chevron is giving to the Maduro regime, he's going to cut their repressive apparatus. So we're very grateful because single-handedly he was able to liberate or to begin the liberation of two nations, Venezuela and Cuba. Because without money, the repressive apparatus cannot work. And that goes for Venezuela and that goes for Cuba. So thank you, Mr. President, because you get it, you understood, and you delivered on your promises.
Yeah, I want to thank President Trump for keeping his promise to the people of Venezuela and the Western Hemisphere fighting for freedom, and also keeping his promise to reverse, in I think his own words, the idiotic policies of President Biden that actually gave oxygen to this regime. Now that oxygen is going to be cut, and I believe that the Maduro regime's days are numbered. I think this is only the first of many other announcements to come that will demonstrate President Trump's commitment to liberty, democracy in our hemisphere. And again, eternally grateful for what you did today, Mr. President. Thank you. Thank you from the people of South Florida. Thank you for the people of America, because this is in America's best interest. Thank you from the people in Venezuela, and in the future too, Cuba and Nicaragua. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Spanish? Can we do it in Spanish real quick?
Yeah.
All right. Nosotros hemos dicho consistentemente que el presidente Trump ha sido el mejor aliado de la causa de la libertad del pueblo de Cuba, de Venezuela y de Nicaragua. Y una vez más, hoy ha demostrado por qué lo hemos dicho. Estamos totalmente agradecidos, altamente agradecidos al presidente Trump por haber revertido la política desastrosa del presidente Biden, que tenía solamente una meta: para ayudar, para financiar, para darle oxígeno a la dictadura en Venezuela, igual que a la dictadura en Cuba. Y hoy, una vez más, el presidente Trump ha cumplido con su promesa a la causa de la libertad de Venezuela, igual que de Cuba, porque también hoy mencionó a Cuba en un tema muy importante. Número 2, porque ha cumplido su promesa de mantener la seguridad, proteger la seguridad nacional de los Estados Unidos. Y número 3, pero en esta causa, repito lo que hemos dicho por mucho tiempo, no hemos tenido mejor aliado, mejor amigo que el presidente Donald Trump. Gracias, presidente Trump.
Así es. Muchas gracias al presidente Trump y aquí a mis compañeros, porque hemos estado unidos en esta lucha. Le damos muchas gracias al presidente Trump, porque Trump demostró una vez más que él cumple su promesa y que él prometió que le iba a quitar el oxígeno financiero al régimen de Maduro. Al eliminar la licencia que tiene Chevron, está eliminando $400 millones todos los meses para el régimen de Maduro. Eso le corta el oxígeno al aparato represivo. Así que muchas gracias, señor presidente, por haber cumplido su palabra y por entender que el hemisferio quiere ser libre. Los venezolanos y los cubanos y los nicaragüenses quieren ser libres como cualquier otro país. Y usted ha comenzado ese camino y le agradecemos altamente.
Le quiero dar muchas gracias al presidente Trump por cumplir con su promesa, que dijo que iba a derrotar la póliza del presidente Biden, que él dijo que era idiótica. Y era idiótica, ¿por qué? Porque le estaba dando oxígeno a estos tiranos que viven en Venezuela. Y yo estoy también muy seguro que esta es la primera medida solamente, porque yo creo que también vamos a ver otras medidas que van a estar apuntadas al régimen en Cuba, al régimen en Nicaragua y también otra vez al régimen de Venezuela. Yo creo que los días del régimen de Venezuela, Cuba y Nicaragua están contados, son cortos, porque tenemos el mejor amigo ahora, el mejor presidente que está cumpliendo con las promesas, que está dedicado a la libertad y la democracia en nuestro hemisferio. Y también le tengo que dar las gracias a mis colegas por siempre estamos juntos en el mensaje que tenemos, que estamos unidos para esta causa, y estamos aquí por una razón, para asegurar también que en nuestra vida, en nuestro término, se vea la libertad que merece Cuba, Nicaragua y Venezuela. Así que otra vez, gracias, presidente Trump, por tu esfuerzo, y yo estoy seguro que esta es el primer paso en un journey que va a terminar con la libertad de nuestro hemisferio.
Y para todos aquellos que nos están mirando, los votantes, los contribuyentes, la gente que vive en el sur de la Florida, no pueden tener ustedes mejor representación, ya sea en el distrito de Carlos o en el distrito de Mario. No pueden tener mejor representación porque en realidad, bueno, gracias, el 27 es el más bonito. Pero la realidad es que es un grupo unido porque tenemos una sola causa y un solo propósito: traer la libertad a Cuba, Venezuela y Nicaragua, y que esos países se merecen la misma libertad que tienen los otros. Así que siéntanse bien representados, porque la realidad es que estos dos saben muy bien lo que están haciendo.
Los tres. Gracias. Any questions you guys want to deal with? Yes.
We're in TPS. Have you guys brought that up? Any concerns to leadership about what could happen?
Yeah. We've all sent letters. We've had conversations with the White House, and what we're hoping to get is for a review of folks, because among the disaster created by Biden was that those who had potentially legitimate cases of asylum, their cases had no way to be checked. And so now we understand why President Trump, by the way, fulfilling what he said he's going to do. But the flip side of that is that we think there are people who have potential legitimate claims, and we need to do everything we can to make sure that those claims are properly reviewed, and we're going to continue to have those conversations.
Is there any way to tackle this through, any legislation in the House or through reconciliation? Is that something that could be brought up?
The reconciliation, remember, that's a limited process that requires, the person who determines what's allowed there is the parliamentarian in the Senate, and that has to be budgetary, and that's a separate issue. So I would say, there. No, you know the answer.
I would like to add. I'm sure that the president has been in office for 36 days, right? Immigration is one of the most difficult and toxic topics. But these people came in legally. They have TPS. And he has said repeatedly, and you've heard it, that he is going to concentrate on deporting those who are illegal criminals. The people that came in and through GPS are not Tren de Aragua. So we are very confident that at some point within the next few weeks, the White House, Homeland Security, they're going to review what we're talking about, and those 300,000 in April, 300,000 in September, we're going to find a solution for them. We're working diligently because three of us, we have thousands and thousands of Venezuelans, and we understand what's happening. But we needed to start with this first measure that we appreciate the president so much of having taken yesterday or this morning, because this cuts the oxygen and gives the hope to those Venezuelans to be able to go back to a free Venezuela.
If I could add, this was all caused by the chaos that was caused by the Biden administration. And so you had millions of people coming in unvetted. And so the Trump administration has to take aggressive action to eliminate the criminal elements that shouldn't be here in the United States, those that have deportation orders that shouldn't be here in the United States. And unfortunately, when you do that, yes, there are going to be some that are going to be caught up in this action. But since they have a lot of criminals still to deport, folks that are going to be higher on that priority list, it gives us some time to work with the Department of Homeland Security to see, okay, how can we tweak this so that those that really are in our country, that are good, that are actually good for our economy, that have been good neighbors, especially in South Florida and Miami-Dade, that they can remain until we get a free and democratic Venezuela. And guess what? When we get a free and democratic Venezuela, guess what happens? A lot of these problems go away. Right. Same thing happens when you get a free and democratic Cuba. A lot of these problems go away. Nicaragua, etc. And so it's in our national security interest to fight for a free democratic Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua, because a lot of other problems can be solved when we get that done.
That's correct.
In your respective congressional districts, have you seen evidence of Tren de Agua
big
or
time.
criminal elements?
Big time. Big time. The impact, and the American people spoke very clearly during the elections, and part of the reason was that as you kept hearing, right, that all of a sudden every state became a border state, and the impact of the chaos, of the disaster created by President Biden, by the way, on purpose as a policy, because nobody can be that stupid, was felt by every American, every community, including the one that we are honored to represent. And so whether it's Tren de Aragua, whether it's other groups, we felt that everywhere, and which is why the American people expressed themselves very clearly about they wanted this to stop. And President Trump, because that's the other issue, there are no surprises here. President Trump is doing what he said he was going to do. Obviously, we want to make sure that those who have legitimate claims, that, by the way, and Maria, you mentioned this all the time, the ones who really kind of suffered the worst by the chaos created on the border by the Biden administration were those who had legitimate claims. Yeah. Those who literally have good reasons, good claims to come to the United States, but their process was destroyed. And so what we'd like to do, and understanding what the president is doing, he's fulfilling his promise, he's securing the United States, he's protecting the border. But within that, we also know that there are folks who have legitimate claims, or potentially legitimate claims, and that's why we're going to continue to work to try to come up with a process so that those claims can be processed.
I mean, you have 380,000 children that have been lost. It's highly irresponsible for 4 years for a government to allow anyone who wanted to come into the country without really knowing who they were. I mean, 380,000 children that we don't know if we gave it back to their sex trafficker or to their abuser. How could that be? So the righteous are paying for the sinners. And the sin of the 4 years of the Biden administration. And that's true. It has nothing to do with political parties. It has to do with the Biden administration being extremely and highly irresponsible when it comes to national security.
To the point of ushering freedom and democracy to Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua, the three of you were at the tip of the spear during 2021, the Cuba Libre movement. It seemed like that could have been the moment.
Yes.
And then it seems as though maybe the information blockade got in the way. Is there any plan or any initiative to allow free flow of information to these countries?
Actually, there is. Okay, we're working on it. There is new technology that is actually in space right now that needs to be ramped up, and that we're actually working on it, and we have been working on that, so that, yeah, in the future, the people not only of Cuba and Venezuela and Nicaragua, but other places around the world, could actually speak to each other without having the government shut down their communications. Because we also think that there are a lot of other places where people are looking for freedom that would be beneficial for the United States, turning enemies into friends. And instead of fighting a war or having conflict, the people within those countries that are seeking freedom will have a voice. And that's what we all want to do. We want to make sure that democracy and freedom reigns not only in our hemisphere but around the world. We're focused on our hemisphere. That's a matter of national security right now. And when you do that, a lot of problems go away. When you turn enemies into friends, a lot of problems go away. And so, yes, we have been working on exactly that.
Is Starlink a potential
That
option?
could be one, but there's another technology in space now that we're working with that will also bring this, will bring that dream to reality. And as soon as we heard about it, we've been working on how can we make that happen.
Connectivity, that's what the Cubans and the Nicaraguans need. Specifically the Cubans, connectivity. If point A can talk to point B, which is what happened on July 11th, then the Cubans can go to the streets and shout everything they want to. But ETETSA shuts down the internet services and then everyone goes dark. Now with what Carlos is saying, we're going to make sure that even though ETETSA shuts the internet off, that it's going to be on for the rest of the island. That's what we need.
And let me also specific about that. Actually, working with my colleagues, actually, they're the ones who brought it to me. That's the regime not wanting to see it. That's what that is, right? Yeah. That's censorship, man. Look, I'm very grateful that my colleagues brought to me some specifics that we could do, that the federal government could do to help these folks that are repressed communicate with each other. We actually have some funding for that. Now, I think it's very, very important to note, though, that the Biden administration went out of their way not only to not help those people in Cuba and Venezuela who were doing everything possible, suffering the consequences because of their efforts to obtain their freedom, but actually went out of their way to help the repressive regimes, those anti-American repressive regimes. Let me just give you some specific examples. The Biden administration wanted to allow the Cuban dictatorship access to the U.S. banking system. The Biden administration wanted to have taxpayer money go to fund regime-chosen companies. The Biden regime unilaterally went out of their way to, for example, take off from the sanction list an entity that is, in essence, the Cuban military that runs the tourism industry. And by the way, everybody knows it's the Cuban military. In Venezuela, the Biden administration went out of its way to fund the Maduro regime with the excuse of the election, when the election was a sham, as we all knew. And by the way, we warned them ahead of time. Did they pull back those concessions? No. They kept them, which is why what President Trump has been saying is so true. The Biden administration was not only irresponsible, damaging to the national security interests of the United States, hurting those people, but I guess he used the right term. Absolutely idiotic what President Biden had done, irresponsible, damaging to the United States, which is why we're so grateful to President Trump.
Sí, en español me podrían decir la perspectiva de cómo esto va a mejorar las relaciones en el hemisferio entre Estados Unidos y todos los países, y si tienen algún mensaje para la comunidad venezolana y cubana luego de este anuncio.
Yo creo que lo que va a mejorar es que su mensaje va a estar muy claro del presidente Trump, que está al lado de la libertad y la democracia, y que no va a tolerar más la dictadura que vemos en Venezuela, y yo espero también que en Cuba y también en Nicaragua. ¿Por qué? Porque eso es en los intereses de seguridad de los Estados Unidos y también para el beneficio de nuestros vecinos que viven en este hemisferio. Ellos merecen, todas las personas en este hemisferio merecen vivir en la libertad, en democracia. Y los Estados Unidos tienen que ser el ejemplo y también ayudar a esos que están buscando su libertad y la democracia en nuestro hemisferio y también en el resto del mundo, porque nosotros somos la democracia más poderosa del mundo. Nosotros somos la democracia que todo el mundo mira como el estándar, y por eso es que este mensaje es tan poderoso, porque yo creo que es el primer paso. Yo creo el primer paso de muchos otros pasos que va a tomar el presidente Trump para asegurar esa democracia y libertad.
Claro, el mensaje de Trump lo que ha hecho básicamente es ponerle un puño de libertad a el régimen de Maduro, exigirle que tiene que cumplir lo que firmó en Barbados. Este país, la institución de la Casa Blanca firma hace 2 años un comunicado o un arreglo, un agreement, ¿no? Un compromiso que se llamaba el compromiso de Barbados. Y el mismo Maduro lo firma y dice que si él pierde las elecciones se va y si las gana se queda. Ahí está María Corina Machado y toda la oposición que demostraron que ellos ganaron 70-30. Entonces, ¿dónde queda el agreement de Barbados? ¿Dónde está ese acuerdo? Ahí es donde entonces los Estados Unidos tienen que exigir que se cumpla. Y eso es lo que está haciendo el presidente Trump, básicamente como Estado norteamericano, demandándole a estos bandidos, y entonces si no te vas a ir, pero no vas entonces a usufructar y no vas a tener dinero norteamericano a través de Chevron. Y eso es básicamente lo que estamos haciendo. Es que el presidente Trump no está haciendo nada que no sea lo normal, sentido común. Tú no le puedes dar dinero a un régimen que lo único que quiere es estar en el negocio del poder, no darle beneficio a sus ciudadanos y quedarse perpetuamente.
Y está muy claro, aquí no hay confusión. El propósito de las políticas del presidente Biden estaban diseñadas con un propósito, para ayudar, para darle legitimidad al régimen de Maduro, de Castro y de Ortega. Y lo que hemos visto hoy, como han dicho mis colegas, es que el presidente Trump no está del lado de los dictadores, está del lado de los pueblos y ha comenzado a tomar medidas muy serias contra el régimen de La Habana, y ahora vemos una medida sumamente importante, negándole fondos al tirano Maduro, que por cierto esos fondos él los utiliza no para el beneficio del pueblo, para lucrarse él, su familia y para mantener la represión a el pueblo de Venezuela. Esos días se han acabado, pero vamos a estar claros, aquí no hay confusión. El propósito del presidente Biden era ayudar a estas dictaduras, y ahora tenemos un presidente que nosotros hemos dicho repetidamente fue en sus primeros 4 años el mejor aliado de la causa de la libertad de Cuba, de Venezuela, de Nicaragua, y una vez más está demostrando por qué nosotros lo hemos dicho, porque no hemos tenido mejor aliado en esta causa que el presidente Donald Trump. Y hoy lo vemos en lo que ha hecho para enfrentarse y negarle los fondos a la tiranía en Venezuela.
Si puedo agregar una cosa, también le tenemos que dar las gracias al secretario de Estado, Marco Rubio. Él está muy claro en lo que es la política aquí de este hemisferio. Él está enfocado en nuestro hemisferio. La primera visita fue en nuestro hemisferio. Así que yo también creo que sé que el secretario de Estado, Marco Rubio, tuvo mucho que ver con esa decisión.
Gracias. Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Got
Thank you.
it,
You got it? You got it?
Yeah.
You put it here.
¿Cuándo brindan café?
Claro que sí.
Y a la prensa, ¿no se dice que café a la prensa?